Are you fed up that the younger generation are stuck to their screens? That your children, you know, are not engaging with making and doing the kind of the basic life skills that are required to, you know, improve the quality of their existence and help them become resilient human beings, eh? Goodness me, it was not the same with our generation. Oh, bollocks. What's that?
Here you go, Dad. I made you a cake.
Oh, you made that?
Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, it's incredible. I don't know what to say. Lucinda has had a lifelong love affair with wood.
I've been working with wood for about 45 years or more, since I went to college to learn cabinet making and then subsequently set up a furniture making business.
Now she's retired from creating beautiful one-off furniture for other people, she wants to construct something for herself. Not just tables or chairs, but an entire house out of wood.
I'm hoping to use up all the leftover bits of wood from the rest of my life.
This will be her largest project by far. But she does have two able assistants. Her son Dan and her daughter Rosie. When the kids were young, Lucinda decided to quit city life for the rural heaven of Herefordshire and moved the family to a remote house in an overgrown acre of woodland.
So when you're a child, it's quite exciting to have a garden that's just completely wild.
We were making fairly elaborate tree houses.
One of the ways in which I brought them up was when they wanted things to start by saying, well, can you make it? So this seems to be a kind of culmination of, well, if you want a house, then could we make it?
Having raised children with plenty of tools but no Wi-Fi or mobile signal, Lucinda now has two capable adult helpers. Rosie, an illustrator, will be bringing a designer's eye to the project, while Dan, an engineer who normally designs industrial production lines, will be donning his inventing hat for his most exacting boss to date, his mum.
Put it away. No.
So I think Mum's going to be a tough client to work for. I think her expectations of quality of finish really are above and beyond.
Years after departing the nest, the ambition is for the family to come back together to build a low-impact eco-house just above the old family home in the very woodland that they grew up in.
I'm just thrilled to bits that they've come home to help. It makes the whole thing a completely different project and far more fun.
Despite the family DNA of designing and making, none of them has ever built a house from scratch. And the success of this endeavour is going to need family harmony.
The two of them used to fight all the time when they were little, and they seem to be getting on quite well these days, so maybe I will destroy that. It may be a disaster.
Come summer, it's time to put the plan into action. What a delightful little woodland world. Lucinda, how are
Hi,
you? Kevin,
nice to meet you.
Dan and Rosie, how are you? I've just walked up through the most amazing little bit of woodland, but beautiful and full of wildflowers and lots of different species and loads of trees.
Which is what we're hoping to maintain and stop the builders from damaging. But we don't want any heavy machinery here at all.
So the old house is that building I can just see through the trees. Is the plan to sell that? I mean, you're splitting the site in half. What's going to happen?
Yeah, ultimately we will split the site and either rent that out or sell it.
So this house you're going to build, how do you describe it?
It's a low-impact house, so it's mostly timber. The whole of the outside of the building is wrapped in timber, either cedar shingles or cladding, that will weather down.
It'll look like the bark of the trees around it. Is that
Yes,
the idea?
maybe it will. I'm trying to build something modest, but also exquisite.
Yeah, a jewel. Lucinda's plot slopes, so despite her wanting her house to touch the earth lightly, they'll be cutting into the ground at one end. But to protect any further damage to the precious tree roots, 2 rows of slender concrete columns will lift the building above ground level. From this point on, the house will be built entirely of wood. Lucinda's architect, Ellie Deacon-Smith, has designed it along Passivhaus principles to make it super energy efficient. So, chunky, prefabricated wooden panels will form an airtight structural shell, filled with recycled paper for insulation. There's some clever hidden structural engineering in timber to help form one huge, uninterrupted barn volume inside. And on the outside, a skin of 10,500 cedar shingles will cascade from roof to ground. A natural skin that'll age like the surrounding trees. The roof ridges stick out at either end, above floating verandas where Lucinda can indulge in a spot of tree bathing. You'll enter through a porch, straight into a kitchen living area, populated with Lucinda's handmade furniture. You'll see the full height of the roof, and there's floor-to-ceiling glass to drink in the light and the views. At the north end, there'll be a study, a bedroom and a bathroom. Leading up to a mezzanine, Lucinda wants to craft a beautiful staircase, made from offcuts of rare timbers she saved over the years. It'll double up as a bookcase and include a window seat for gazing out of the canopy. Once upstairs, there's the main bedroom and bathroom, with access to a private balcony suspended among the canopy of the surrounding trees. Lucinda's big ambition is to honour those noble giants by building with as low an environmental impact on them as possible. That'll take time, money and care. I hope she can find enough of all three. Does the sort of complicated nature of the site and the trees and the tree root protection and the ground, does that affect the budget negatively? You can't simply drive a lorry up there and a crane and just unload the building.
No, so that does add to the cost. The fact that it's on a slope adds to the cost.
Yep. And how much have you got then to build?
Well, I was allowing about 150 for the construction costs.
Which is on the...
On the low side.
Yeah, I was going to say on the
Especially
cheap
for passive
side,
house.
certainly for passive.
Yes.
Wow.
I don't know whether we can do it. I hope we can do it.
What happens if it does, if it costs a great deal more?
I guess I move into a shed and sell the house, if I had to.
When do you hope to have finished?
I'd like to move in February the 21st, 2022? 18 months, yeah. Yes. Because I think that if I put pressure on myself to do it in, say, a year, which would theoretically be possible, I won't enjoy it.
You must be careful, won't you? Because you enjoy making things. You must be careful not to relish the process to the point that it sort of spins out.
There is a danger of that.
This family of makers and doers will have to plumb the depths of their well of inventiveness if they're to pull off this project on Lucinda's very tight budget. And I do see a danger ahead. So as a designer and maker and craftsperson in wood, the difficulty here is, of course, is that the thing she's looking forward to is building it, is the process, it's the excitement of being in the moment of construction, as opposed to actually living in it, which suggests to me that there is a possibility that the house may never get completely finished. Initially, progress on the project is frustrated by COVID lockdown delays, so the family keeps busy laying a tree root-friendly wood chip path up to the site.
I think I need more of a job. I'm not being fully employed here.
But come August, they decide to get on and lay the foundations. But not in any way I've ever encountered before. The house will be held above ground by 10 concrete columns that reach down to the bedrock. And despite having no experience, they've decided to pour the concrete themselves to save money.
Some precision engineering going on here.
Dan's idea is to make the columns octagonal, so they can mass-produce moulds themselves from lengths of plywood in Lucinda's workshop.
It's a former for the concrete, a container to pour the concrete into, and then when you put them together like this and bring them in, they are sort of self-locking into the shape, as long as the angle's spot on.
And to hold all that concrete in place, plastic cable ties. Really?
If there's something wrong with our invention, I don't know.
We'll know quite fast.
What will we do?
I don't see why it wouldn't work.
Well, they'll soon find out when the concrete arrives, tomorrow. Ten deep holes have been dug for the homemade moulds, which have to be lined up with millimetre precision. We'll see if their novel DIY approach is groundbreaking or mould-breaking.
Big day today, nervous. Then either it'll work or it won't work. Very relieved when this is all done.
I'm just praying that when I put the concrete in, they won't bulge.
Lucinda is project managing the whole thing, but for today she's brought in a ground worker, Steve, to help. But he's never seen a setup like this before.
That's why I put the wire on there, because not quite sure really. It's just cable ties really, so. Well, just in case when I pop, like, time will tell.
Have you got room to get out?
Dan adds a couple of straps for good measure.
I think it's about 10 minutes till the concrete arrives, so, you know, classic last minute.
At least some local friends have turned out to help.
Good fun being involved. It's a nice day out, really.
Let's hope it stays that way.
Yeah, there's some tension here, I'd say. Jump in quick, just jump in quick.
As 7 tons of concrete arrive at the top of the lane, there's no time left to prepare. The truck charges by the minute. This is it.
Right.
Usually, you'd pipe the mix straight into the ground. But in order to protect the tree roots, the heavy lorry just can't come any closer than the top of the drive 100 metres away.
He's got to stop here at the entrance, transfer it to the small dumper, dumper up to site, wheelbarrow from dumper. So that's not helping.
They only have 2 hours to unload all the concrete before it sets hard. They make a start on the shorter columns at the bottom of the slope.
Really slippery underfoot, folks. Further forward. That's it. Yeah, this one's dribbling a bit. This one's not happy.
Before long, the weight of the concrete is stretching their homecraft moulds to the limit. Dan decides to lash the leaking columns with more straps and some screws for good measure.
It's pouring with rain, the formers are bulging, the lorry of concrete is waiting. Folks, we need to get the man needs to get away. We've got to get on with getting this into here. Can you get that one on? Right, we're going to this one next.
But just as they're filling the last couple of columns,
Oh shit! No, down this side, it's all coming out.
Turn the poker off, Dave. I'll go
Yeah, but
down
it's
and
going.
start it
The whole thing's going. Yes, but darling, it might all explode while you're down there.
up.
Bulging! It's going!
Yeah,
Don't touch the pillars.
Dan is deep in a hole with a column of wet concrete that's set to burst.
the screws have popped out.
You got a lorry strap or something we could borrow?
Again.
Under there. Yeah, it should be. It's working!
Finally, it seems to be holding.
I am so wet and muddy and miserable.
I'm a bit sad that the method for holding the columns together didn't work quite as well as I was hoping. But, you know, it shows that under time pressure you can fix most problems.
After 2 hours in the cold mud, the bedraggled working party can finally warm up.
Well, I feel completely responsible for that disaster.
If this was a prelude for the rest of the project, it's going to be grueling. And no one wants to be left with permanently bulging columns, surely. Once the dust has settled, I'm back to inspect.
We need to talk about rather excellent octagonal piers. You've chosen to use bespoke timber joinery to make footings. No one else has ever done this.
And they did come out spot on.
But no, I think it's wonderful.
Thankfully, all 10 columns seem perfectly formed. And they're not the only example of the family's innovative approach.
Tell me, what's this that you're standing on? It looks like a membrane. What is it?
I make the machinery that makes this material. So it's a concrete impregnated fabric. So it arrives dry.
Yeah.
You roll it out like a heavy carpet, spray it with water, and you're done.
I can get leftover rolls from the factory, so we thought, why not? We're using as erosion control and weed suppression.
We're quite close to the ground here. We do not want this mud in contact with the timber.
Nice.
And this we can do in an afternoon, and we don't have to excavate at all.
So what is the CO2 saving per square metre, say, above, over a standard concrete?
For the average application, we're using 10 times less material. So that roughly gives you the savings.
So is that the roll of it over there?
Yes.
Looks like a bit of roofing felt.
Do you want to come and have a play?
Yeah, have a look, yeah? Look how flexible it is. Carpet fitters around the country are going to be a god
a bit.
at your skill.
Back this way. Go. Lovely.
I love it. Lucinda has, so far, performed admirably. But for the next stage of construction, she's enlisting a specialist timber frame builder, Rob, to erect the structure of the house. Lucinda gave Rob his first building job 12 years ago, so he's going into this with his eyes open.
Gets difficult with Lucinda's eye for detail. Everything has to be perfect. Everything has to line up. No detail is overlooked.
The plan is for this super insulated house to be prefabricated in Rob's workshop.
Watch out, man.
And he's got an assistant, Dan.
Oh, look, it's enormous.
That is your house on a lorry.
Held up for months by COVID and customs, the sustainable German-engineered timber from which Rob will build the prefabricated panels has finally arrived.
It's really exciting.
They're hoping to avoid the rental cost of a large forklift to offload the lengthy 14-metre beams by relying on Rob's small one.
Aren't they going to flop? Are they all right? Whoa! Shit. They're going to snap, Rob.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Now it's spinning like mad. Oh. Get fingers crossed.
Finally, the wooden eagle has landed.
Alright, that's better.
That was exciting.
It's good.
Lucinda is demanding a lot from her meagre £150,000 budget. A two-bedroom house which won't harm the planet thanks to its construction. But there's a dwelling only a stone's throw from Lucinda's place which shows how it's done.
So normally, in my line of work, an inspirational building is one that's high-end. It is lavish, expensive. But the one I'm about to visit, just around this corner, built by the architect Jure Mikurczyk for himself, it embodies the opposite of a philosophy of modesty, of the principle of just enough and no more.
Old Holloway is a house built almost entirely from natural materials and was a project guided by simplicity and economy and the desire to make as small an impact on the earth as possible.
What a gloriously straightforward building. I mean, look, long extruded shape, timber cladding, no gutter, just big, deep eaves to give you lots of protection here. And it was built for £150,000, 3 bedrooms. And it's so well insulated it costs almost nothing to heat.
Inside this structure, constructed from chunky, straw-filled prefabricated panels, there's no sense of compromise. The vaulted roof welcomingly embraces the entire cooking and living area, and the sustainable use of timber extends into almost every detail. The window surrounds, built-in storage, and a joyous slatted lined ceiling.
There is wood everywhere. It gives you this lovely soft sound, with soft corners to match. And a beautiful, beautiful soft focus view out across the Herefordshire hills. My goodness. He's managed to put everything into one building that you would want from any good piece of architecture.
As a near neighbour, Lucinda was inspired by this cosy little place to have a go at building herself, and also by Uri's architectural philosophy.
I think he feels strongly about evaluating what you need and just building that.
The overarching quality of this building is to do with what it manages to do without, like a gutter, you know, like carpets, like, oversized bedrooms. And it seems to be, in its modesty, all the more charming.
Yes, yes. I think it's been described somewhere or other as seductive simplicity, which I think is a great phrase. Paring it down to what do we actually need.
Your Eyes is a simple single-storey house, whereas Lucinda wants a second floor, built for the same budget. Not just that, she wants no fussy internal tie beams or braces getting in the way of the double-height living space, usually an expensive engineering challenge. But as you'd expect, the family have come up with a clever structural solution.
So, what are these here? On the left is a traditional solid frame with a tie and tension.
So this represents a section through a building?
Yes.
And you can't use the upstairs.
You put a bit of
because
wire here.
But that would be a timber. And I wanted to use the whole space.
Hence this.
So Rob came up with this portal frame idea.
Because you're building a passive house, your walls are going to be thicker than normal. Is you're taking advantage of that fact and putting then a very wide plate at the junctions, and that makes it super strong. And there's no need for a... No need for a tie. That's really neat.
Would you like to put it to the test?
OK, let's see the traditional one. Is it got to go underneath
Can you rest the feet on the block?
Simulating the weight
Should
of
increase the tension.
a roof. There we go.
But if you'd like to demonstrate what happens when you remove that tie...
OK. Oh! Yeah, I see what you mean. The tie's really doing a job. So sit on this.
OK. Jiggle about a bit.
Utterly confident. This will. Actually, why don't you try it? Yeah, because honestly, it's so strong, and this is collective family faith being made before our eyes. The interesting thing is that it's taking the load is rock solid, isn't it?
Good.
What a lovely thing.
My house is going to be OK.
It's a solution only a timber lover of decades standing would want to come up with.
What's the height of that, do you reckon?
I suppose it's... yes.
Early on in Lucinda's career, making high-end furniture from exotic wood, she became concerned about the deforestation the timber she depended on was causing.
So I guess I thought I'd get on a plane and go and have a look. So my first trip was up the Amazon to explore forestry in Brazil.
Through the 80s and 90s, trips to other places like Papua New Guinea followed. And with others, Lucinda set up the first projects that promoted responsibly sourced timber.
I suppose I'd call myself an environmentalist, but with reservations.
We felt it was all very idealistic, I think, a bunch of hippies, but it led to the FSC, the Forest Stewardship Council, which is the accreditation of sustainable forestry projects and wood sourcing.
Having created that legacy, it's no surprise the length Lucinda is going to protect her own little patch of trees. Come the summer...
Sugar. What's that doing there?
A lorry arrives with a very special delivery from Rob's workshop.
Today is a very big day because the walls of the house are coming.
They make it down the main drive without a hitch.
That's the soft corner. John, you're a bit tight on that side.
But there is still the final slope to negotiate. Out of bounds to lorries to protect the tree roots.
They're going to bring the lorry to the end of the gravel, unload everything, and then get a Land Rover and trailer and try and get the Land Rover up there.
Time to see if the wood chip track is up to the task.
Just spin out, just need to...
Every attempt churns the ground further, making it even harder for Rob.
It's very soft. It's fine when you get to about here. It's just that stretch there.
Rob goes for one final run-up.
Dan, look at the back. No.
If Rob can't make the final ascent, I'm not sure how they're going to build this thing. In trying to protect the tree roots around Lucinda's woodland site, Rob's been struggling to deliver the heavy pre-made sections of her house along the muddy track.
Come on, girl.
Up a hill. Undaunted,
OK.
Gonna hit here a bit more speed, haven't I?
Rob lightens the load, faces forwards, and goes hell for leather. Finally, success.
Well, that was smooth. Forwards, at speed, better.
He may have made it up the hill, but Rob's travails are only just beginning. He now has to erect the entire two-storey house without a crane.
Right, push.
But as always with this build, ingenuity comes to the rescue.
It's been strong. It's like the flag raising.
Seeking inspiration from the notebook of Leonardo da Vinci and Amish barn raisings, Rob's going to try a method of winching the panels upright from ground level.
This is completely untested. We never had enough time and space, really, to do it. Sorry, Lucinda.
If they can't raise the panels by this ground-secured winch, there is no backup that doesn't involve a crane.
Try and be smooth, Dan, like a sailor. You're so rough. It's like,
Gently.
back, it needs to be on the front.
Who needs a crane?
Oh, catch.
Ah, see, my design was perfect.
Your design was absolutely perfect. It's really amazing because it's so quick.
Over the next few days, Rob and his men do Leonardo da Vinci proud, as the entire frame is raised magnificently from the ground by human power alone. And before long, Lucinda is able to get her first glimpse of the vistas she'll be enjoying from her new home.
Gosh. You're right at the top of these trees, though. It's brilliant. You know, it's existed in my imagination for so long, it's hard to believe that it's actually here.
A month later, the whole structure is up. Hello, team.
Hello.
Look at this. Yeah. It's splendid.
Thank you very much.
Church-like,
Thank
or a
you very
barn.
much.
It's perfect. In terms of timing, programme,
We've always had quite a fluid programme, I would say. I can't say it's hardened up much. I'd say we're about a year behind.
Yeah. You know, lots of people building a house for the purpose of living in it. I think Mum's building a house for the purpose of building a house, which means
having enough time. Yeah, actually, having a really fun time.
the process.
and living in it's, you know, a bit of a byproduct.
Yeah.
One big annoying drag on this project has been the major access challenges that come with a muddy path up a slope. And there's still all the glazing, the cladding, and the interiors to come up. But Dan has put his inventor's hat on again. It seems he might have devised an ingenious solution to get things back on track. You've made this from what? Batteries?
Just motorbike batteries, electric motors. It is just a prototype.
Does it work?
Do you want to go?
Is this the throttle?
Yes, it has got quite a
What's this?
brake.
That's helpful to know.
Okay.
Do I need to wear any safety equipment?
Oh yes, well. Oh yes, excellent.
Brunellian. I declare the South Herefordshire Railway open. Rob's job as main builder here may have got a little easier with the arrival of the train, but his next challenge of erecting a wall of glazing at the gable end is still an engineering headache, in the absence of a crane.
My main worry today is making sure it fits, because the aperture was made ages ago and the windows are ordered at a different time, so hopefully they marry up.
Getting a perfect fit is critical, because Lucinda's building is following Passivhaus principles, meaning it has to be completely airtight. Something she's hoping to achieve with the 22 grand she spent on triple glazed units throughout the house.
It has to be spot on from the beginning, and if it doesn't, then we'll fail our air test and then I'll have Lucinda on my back. She's a tough client because she's got her eye on the detail all the time, every millimetre, checking everything. Yeah, she's always over your shoulder.
Down. There's a slight discrepancy on this side. Sorry, didn't mean to.
Cheap windows, Lucinda.
Not cheap windows. Just don't break the glass. Don't break the glass. Can you shift the whole lot over? Just fractionally wider on the upper.
Oh, my back. Windows, they're not perfect. There's a mill out, and Lucinda's noticed it. Yeah, it's just manufacturing. They must just be slightly wonky.
Thankfully, for Rob, Lucinda decides that on this occasion she can live with 1 millimetre of imperfection. A few weeks later, the final and tallest piece of glazing goes into the slot space.
It's jolly heavy, doesn't it?
Closing slowly.
That's him.
And the building is finally watertight.
It's brilliant.
Meaning that Rob has now completed the work Lucinda contracted him to do. But she is far from finished. She's only a month away from her original completion date, and she hasn't even started on the interior. She's now also overshot her original £150,000 budget.
You know, in terms of the finishing of the job, it could well be me doing it because that would save a lot on labour.
Furthermore, Lucinda's free workforce is becoming restless.
Rosie's going to be moving into a flat in Oxford in about a couple of months or two's time, and we're restoring some furniture and things for her to take.
So my kind of freelance career is sort of starting to take off.
And to complete the exodus, Dan is also departing for a new job.
Obviously, they've done a lot. I'm kind of used to having them as extra labour, and they're going to be gone.
I think there might be quite a lot of evening phone calls saying, could you maybe just for a few days pop back just for a little bit?
With no money in the bank to pay for replacement workers, it's going to be up to Lucinda alone to shoulder the rest of this project. And there'll need to be broad shoulders, because at a nearby woodmill, the first batch of 10,500 cedar shingles are being cut to size. These are responsibly sourced natural tiles, and they'll provide the wooden skin for this wooden house. Once they're delivered to site, Lucinda begins the long, lonely task of nailing them to the house, one shingle at a time.
It's a slow old business, and there are days where that does get you down. And because it's so slow, employing anybody else to do it is really, really expensive. It's something I can do, so it's an area where I can save money to do this, even if it takes a long time. What else am I going to be doing with my winter?
The massive rise in the cost of timber means that Lucinda is now digging into the last of her savings.
I used to think I'd have a pension, now I won't. I'll be eating baked beans in the finest house in the country. The scaffolding's not in the right place. Ah! Damn.
Attempting to shingle a house of this size solo is a crazy undertaking. Lucinda is already months beyond the day she originally planned to move in. So, time to call in the cavalry of incompetence.
I've really spiked myself on my first stainless steel nail.
Yeah, they're quite sharp, aren't they?
Very sharp. How is the budget?
The budget is not perfect, but it's much more the timescale that I'm concerned about.
Yeah.
My timescale has slipped by, you know, a year or two, I'd say.
It's quite significant, isn't it?
Yes, but if I put a saying I've got to be in by a certain date, that then makes the whole thing extremely stressful and becomes very difficult to enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah. Are you at all daunted by this?
In the middle of the night, I am.
Yes. Good answer. So I don't really know what to say about that, except good luck.
You have to admire Lucinda's resilience and energy, but I do not envy her the task that she set herself. She has no spare money to bring in labour, so I'm beginning to wonder how she's ever going to get to the end of this. As summer turns to autumn, it's time for me to return to this bucolic corner of Herefordshire.
The dew is on the ground, and the leaves are just turning. So it's a perfect day to visit Lucinda in her woodland home.
I first made this journey 3 years ago, when Lucinda was just getting started on her wooden eco-home.
She thought, of course, it would take 18 months, but come on, we all knew. She's a cabinet maker, she's a furniture maker. It was always going to be a very finessed building. So the question is, does it merit that amount of time spent on it? Is it beautiful?
Lucinda was an early campaigner for sustainable forestry, so of course she had to make sure her own house didn't trash the woodland site it occupied.
Well, this is as far as I drive, because beyond here it's just a pedestrian footpath. Lucinda does not want to look at cars out of her window.
It's on foot from here, but boy, this is an arrival worthy of the effort.
Good grief. That is so beautiful. I mean, it's so precise and beautifully crafted. I mean, look at it. Like a piece of furniture scaled up in the middle of the forest. You just don't expect to find it. It is exquisitely done. And it even appears to float at this end. It's defying gravity as well as defying expectation. It's too good. It's too beautiful.
The black stained cladding enclosed within the angled ends contrasts crisply with that diligently placed skin of 10,500 shingles, each one fixed by Lucinda. This is a remarkable wooden ark, in a woody dialogue with the trees around it. The house respects its environment, and I suspect the trees express no little gratitude for that.
Lucinda, how are
Kevin,
you?
how lovely to see you.
and you, and congratulations.
Thank you so
What a
much.
thing. What a beautiful crafted object. It's so precise. It's what you wanted, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, it is what you wanted. Yeah, I bet.
It is what I imagined it would be.
Couldn't be more precise.
Well, it did take a ridiculously long time.
I know.
mean, it just
Forever.
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 Yeah.
Tell me, are you sick of shingles?
I don't specially want to do them again. But it was actually quite a meditative process, really.
Right from the beginning, you were keen to not compress the earth here, not to compact the roots of the trees. How do you think you fared?
Pretty well, I'd say. As a low-impact build, it's worked pretty well.
Yeah.
We didn't have to bring concrete lorries and things because we didn't have concrete, so the kind of thing that normally makes a real mess on a building site, we didn't have at all. Since we put the train in, it's been in daily use for moving everything, and that's, that again, it means we don't have to drive up here.
And it means in future, your rubbish, your shopping.
Yes, me.
You.
I'll go down to weld a little seat to it.
Yeah, you should.
In my old age.
Yeah.
It's admirable that Lucinda appreciates the urgent need to avoid using unnecessary planet-wounding concrete and steel. And that desire to avoid waste finds another expression.
This is splendid, Lucinda.
In the beautifully built veranda at the end of the house.
The boards here, what are they?
They are the boards we were using for the scaffolding. So that's an exact scaffold bay.
This is a scaffold board?
I thought we'll get them so that they can be...
You might as well get a scaffold board you can then use.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
Oh, very good. Meantime, there's the oak, who's very close.
Yes, I like it.
Well, who doesn't?
Various members of the family and builders have suggested it's really in the way, and if I just made this whole veranda a bit shorter or just got rid of the tree, life would have been easier.
Surely the philosophy of the building is to try and kind of cohabit.
Yeah, exactly.
Up above, the roof reaches out to offer a wooden canopy, protective from the elements. Underneath it, there's more evidence of Lucinda's forensic attention to detail.
If you step back here, you can see that the groove between them goes up and then follows through.
On the soffit, every one of these timbers runs in to match every one of these verticals.
Yep.
Exactly. Like, a piece of furniture with compound angles, you'd expect everything to run in to book match, to be perfect, and that's what you've done with the building. That's exquisite. It is exquisite.
Thank you. Well, I think it was worth it.
How about inside? How thoughtful is that, the layout?
Yes. Would you like to come and have a look?
Yes, I would. I would.
I
can't
feel
see
I
much
should
of
apologise in advance.
In stark contrast to the lovingly detailed exterior...
Oh, no, yes, I see. It's one big void.
Yes.
Inside is still a blank canvas, yet to be given the Lucinda treatment.
You've got the first floor in the mezzanine. That's a lot of work in that. But does it upset you that you're behind on getting in?
No, it's fine. It's fine. I don't have a date where I have to be in. I did, and that was really very stressful.
It's more enjoyable if you don't have a show and you're doing it yourself.
Yes.
And there's no one else to please.
That's right, yes.
Just you.
And this is the first time that I've actually been in that situation, not working for a client or
bringing up children at the same time.
Or bringing up children at the same time. All that. So it's a real luxury just to be able to work at your own pace.
And how long do you think then before? I'm not going to hold you to this, but how long do you think before you'll be done?
Come back in a couple of years.
2 years.
A chunk of that time Lucinda will devote to handcrafting the floating staircase of her own design. Again, using all the offcuts and leftovers she's diligently saved.
Can we get upstairs onto the mezzanine?
Yeah, the staircase at the moment, as you can see, is a little basic.
Oh, yeah. But you really, really get to benefit from these windows here, don't you, being
Yes.
banked into the roof?
Yeah, no, it's lovely.
Oh, yeah. So your sofa goes here?
Yes, just slightly behind here, I think.
And then you see the hill.
And then you're up in the trees at this end. There's actually a rather beautiful hill, which you would probably only see in winter, which has an Iron Age fort on the top of it.
Oh, it's wonderful. It really is.
And Lucinda will be cosy as she enjoys the views from up here. The thick wall cavities are pumped full of recycled Polish newspapers, which provide such good insulation that the whole house will only be occasionally heated by a single wood-burning stove. But on sunny days, this floor has another treat in store.
This is your own private deck, your own balcony.
Indeed, yes.
Magical at treetop level like this, you know, because you're up in the canopy, like looking over the top of it. It'll be lovely with the balustrade.
Yes, that's true. It does need a little something to stop
Yeah, a
you
little
falling off.
safety. Do you think you will ever slow down? Or do you think that's an enemy?
I think it could be a real problem that you never relax into the space because all you can see are the things that you didn't get quite right.
Yeah.
And there must be a way of dealing with that.
I think therapy is the answer.
Yes.
To focus on the things that you did get right,
Yeah,
of
yeah.
which there are thousands.
To live in the moment.
Yeah,
Yes,
no.
yeah.
You just got to allow yourself to enjoy the finished house as much as enjoy the process of building it.
Yeah. I will.
Lucinda is a supreme exponent of her craft. But her other great skill that emerged on this project has been the marshalling of a talented team of helpers, especially her own family.
Would you rather it had gone quicker, or does this pace suit you?
I think Mum wishes it had gone a bit slower.
He's always worked with incredibly valuable woods, and therefore something like a building comes along where you get a cheap sheet of OSB. She will measure it as if it's a beautiful piece of mahogany.
From the very beginning, she always wanted to really enjoy it, and I think
Yeah.
she's never enjoyed being rushed on projects.
Do you think that a building is an appropriate place for that approach?
I think if you've got the time for it and you've got the patience for it, why not if you enjoy it? I think it's great.
Right at the start, Lucinda said she wanted to build something modest but exquisite. I think the time, expertise and attention to detail lavished on every joint and junction of this jewel of a building has crafted just that.
How are you in relation to the 150,000?
That was just for the build, and then there was 50,000 for the infrastructure and the fees and all the sort of environmental surveys and the preliminary stuff.
Yeah.
And then there was a 10% contingency, which brought us to 220.
OK, and by the time you will have finished?
I'll bring it in under 300, I think.
OK, so 220 to 300 is about a 40%
Yes.
increase. What I'm saying is that sort of corresponds to the increase in materials and
Yes,
costs
I mean, timber
in construction.
It's a primarily timber building,
Yeah.
and some timber has doubled in price.
The important question, however, is can you afford to finish it without hardship?
I hope so. I don't know whether by the time I move in, there'll be nothing left to eat, but
Come on.
I think it'll be all right.
And so does this also then connect to that other part of your past of travelling through the Amazonian jungles, sustainability, doing something that makes sense, if you like, of all the work you've done there?
Yeah, I think it does, more so than perhaps I anticipated. It is really exciting to have something that's so coherently from within an expression of the values that I have and the things that I stand for, actually having a physical manifestation.
Yeah.
My mum would say it's a very big den, and because it began with den building when I was 5 or something, and she'd say this was a really good den.
It's a really good den. It's a really good den.
The ultimate den, I'd say. And I can only imagine what pleasures lie in store once Lucinda is able to put down her tools and move in.
Well, beautiful on the outside. And what should we say? Full of promise on the inside. But then you see, I think of this building a bit like the slow food movement, you know, like the trees growing here. This building has risen out of the ground with the minimum of demands on its local environment and on the wider planet, for that matter, too. And Lucinda likes it that way. She's in full control of this process. She's in absolute control of her craft. And it's allowed her to build something considered and thoughtful and super sustainable. The rest of us, I mean, you and me, we might demand something a bit more quickly. But I think we should take a leaf out of her book and learn to be patient. We'll be back.
What we're trying to build is the UK's first Passivhaus Premium.
So it's like a miniature power station. How do you know it's going to work?
We don't. My God! Oh, Jesus Christ, it looks like we're building a cathedral. Not being here, not living it with him is a strain on a relationship.
The risks, if we continue, the wall will burst somewhere. Oh, shit. I will be absolutely devastated if we don't achieve Passivhaus Premium.
The bicycle, revolutionary in its time, of course. But then we added electricity. Oh, my word! You see, it's great fun, pretty eco-friendly, but there again, we humans, we don't like to rest on our laurels, do we? Yeah? We want more, yes! We are relentless pioneers. We push, we strive. We want to be the biggest, the best, the fastest. Just look at this. It is fully electric. This is planet-friendly super performance. I mean, just imagine if your home was built to those kind of standards.
Now that could really take off. A London-based environmental consultant, Duncan runs a company that takes contaminated land...
That's not good.
...like this old fuel storage yard, and cleans it up.
It did smell a little bit fruity, didn't it? Yeah. I started doing this because I care about how we treat the planet. And hopefully, we do make the world a little bit cleaner and a little bit better.
His partner, Liz, also deals with toxic situations, but of a very different kind. She's a top divorce lawyer whose clients have included Diana, Princess of Wales, and Bernie Ecclestone's wife, Slavica. So she's gained some notoriety.
I've been referred to as the terrier, I've been referred to as the poisonous dwarf, the gnome from hell. Honestly, if someone's being rude about me, I just think I'm doing my job. But for every inch of me that is pushy and doesn't give up, there are about 20 foot of Duncan that is pushy and doesn't give up even more.
They'll need all that gumption for their radical self-build. They bought this North Cotswolds plot 3 years ago. It came with plans for a revolutionary eco-home, potentially a UK first.
For me, that is just so exciting, but it's going to be quite daunting. I've never built a house before, and I'm kind of starting at the extreme end by building an incredibly complicated house, and it might just not work.
For this job, I'm going to be the client and Duncan's the project manager. So it's going to be interesting to see how we work that one out between the two of us.
Especially as Duncan will leave their London terrace to live near site, leaving Liz dependent on his updates.
So do you think we'll still be talking at the end of it, Liz?
If we're still talking at the end of the week, it's going to be a miracle.
That'd be closer to the truth, that's for sure.
Oh, I think it's going to be quite challenging.
It is the most combative of relationships.
Banter aside, living together in this Cotswold village is their goal.
Hello.
Hello.
It's very, very quiet.
It's very, very pretty.
And what brought you here? Have you been here long?
We were looking for a project for 3 years.
You were looking for a project, I was looking for a home.
You were looking for a project because that's what you do, being an engineer, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, and you were looking for somewhere to live, simple
Yes,
as that.
sorry to put my furniture.
Yeah.
And when we came here, we thought this just felt right.
Duncan and Liz's plot is a short stroll. They spent years fighting the planners to adapt an inherited design.
So this is the site, Kevin.
I love the plot.
So what we're trying to build is the UK's first Passivhaus Premium house.
But what's Passivhaus Premium?
So Passivhaus is all about being thermally efficient, energy efficient, and the building being airtight. And for Passivhaus Premium, you have to generate 4 times the energy you use.
So it's like a miniature power station?
It's exactly that. On a sunny summer's day, we'll be supplying over half the village with its electricity, just from this one house.
That's amazing. But how much do you buy into this?
Frankly, I'm not even sure I really knew what a passive house was when we embarked on this. But having learned, I think it's admirable.
Because you're the first to do this in the country, how do you know it's going to work?
We don't.
This experimental powerhouse was originally designed by one local architect and modified by Duncan with a second architect. On a stepped site cut into the hill, Duncan will use shallow polystyrene trays filled with concrete to form insulated slabs and retaining walls. The continuity of the thick insulation under and around the building is essential to make the airtight and energy-efficient house needed for Passivhaus certification. A basement steel frame and concrete decks for the floor above follow. Then comes the structural insulated timber panels to form the superstructure. It'll be hard to assemble, huge and geometrically challenging, with 3 pitched roofs as asymmetrical as the 8 glulam portal frames that Duncan's introduced. There's more insulation to come, plus a 23-metre wall of heavily shaded triple glazing to the south to drink in the sun's heat in winter. Duncan and Liz don't want their home to flaunt its green credentials. It'll be luxurious with 5.5-metre ceilings and monumental stone walls. But their home will be high-tech green, with a recycled paper and plywood kitchen overlooked by a yoga mezzanine for Liz. The long pitched roof on the west side will contain a library and a sitting room reaching out towards the horizon. While under the third easterly pitched roof will sit 2 studies and a garage. Duncan's also added a helical staircase down to the lower floor. 4 bedrooms and bathrooms will radiate out from it, alongside a dressing room for Liz and a wine cellar for him. But the gold star here is getting Passivhaus Premium. Duncan has to generate 4 times the energy he needs. The plan was to stack the 660 square metre roof with solar panels, but Duncan is set on a new solar fabric instead. A plant room will direct their electricity to the house, the car, and back to the national grid. But the ambition is set at an all-time high here, especially given the scale. The house is nearly 800 square metres.
I would like you to go and stand where the corner of the building is. And if you don't mind, Liz, if you don't mind standing where that corner is, and I'll sort of hover in between you. Oh, my word, it's a heck of a long way.
Am I in the garage, sweetheart?
You can't hear you, it's so far away.
Yeah, right.
So, where are you now?
So the bedrooms are all along here.
I don't understand why it's so big.
Because it was designed that way and we couldn't face going through another battle with the planners to build something sensible.
My word. Do you not think it's going to be a monster?
No, I think if we get it right internally, it should just feel homely. That's the dream.
It's terrifying. I have to ask you how much the whole thing you think is going to cost.
We've got a budget of 1.2 million.
What happens if it comes in at 1.4 or 1.8?
I keep working.
That's the first resort. So the dynamic here is that Liz is the client. I'm the project manager.
I stress about money and he says it'll be fine.
Cash flow isn't all down to Liz. They have 2/3 in savings, and they'll also take out a loan on their London pad.
How long do you reckon to build? In your mind, Liz?
I think at least 2 years. He says 18 months. And what's your weakness, darling?
Finishing.
Yeah. I'm not moving in till it's finished to my standard.
OK, it's interesting to know this early doors, Duncan, because we can then hold you accountable.
Yes, please.
Wow. Passivhaus Premium, eh? But you see, I think that's where we are all going, because this house is the future. It will generate 4 times more energy than it needs. It will be super efficient. And if you can bring it in, this project will be epic.
Duncan wastes no time. Days later, he's carving out monster-sized footings with a local groundworker, Sam.
When this bill came about, there was a few people that weren't over the moon about it. It's going to be a horrific-sized house, but that's up to him to live in.
It's also going to be horrifically exacting.
Passivhaus Premium detailing starts with the foundations. We need them to be very, very level so that the structure fits on top of it without any gaps. If we don't build accurately enough, we won't hit the airtightness criteria, we won't get Passivhaus.
It is all Duncan's responsibility.
I've got to do something. I've forgotten to measure it.
He has a tiny 2.5 centimetre tolerance across a 50-metre site. It's easy to dig too deep.
I think we cut it too low. We need to put some back.
And this is just day 1. It's a month later. Duncan, all 6'2" of him, has been staying in this pub garden while he sorts out a rental.
It's tiny, but it's warm, it's dry, bed's comfortable. But obviously I miss Liz.
Duncan spends weekends with Liz in London, but today she's getting a train up to inspect the site.
Picking Liz up is it's going to be interesting. She hasn't been to the site for weeks and it's changed hugely. I think she's going to get a big, hopefully surprise, not shock.
Liz is the client here, dependent on updates from her project manager.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm very good.
But there's still room for energetic debate.
But it's still your idea to have a dry stone wall going around the parking area around the garages, is that right? Coming from the front? Coming from the in?
No, as we discussed last night, we're going to do that with gabions.
Well, that's what I wasn't exactly sure. Don't patronise me, you twat.
These two don't seem to be quite on the same page.
Let's come and have a look at what we've done.
So this is it, yeah? My God! Holy shit. I hadn't envisaged anything this I hadn't envisaged anything this big. Oh.
It is quite
It's
chunky.
huge. Come on, we could literally build a shopping centre in there. So hard to imagine. I'm staggered. I really am. Okay.
And this is just half the house's footprint. In the Cotswolds, Duncan, our wizard environmental consultant, is getting his radical eco-home out of the ground. He's now 3 months into this 18-month project.
Hiya, how are you?
Very good, thanks.
Today, Duncan's team are finishing the insulated trays that'll hold the first slab.
So this structure, which is made, you can hear it squeaking, it's made out of expanded polystyrene, and that acts as a tray for that much concrete.
Yeah.
They use so much less concrete.
Exactly that. We've got 4 slabs going in. This is by far the smallest.
Yeah.
It's also outside the Passivhaus envelope, so we're doing it first. Basically, if we make a mistake with this, it's not that disastrous. Whereas once we're into the Passivhaus part, it's disastrous.
The one thing you can't compromise is the thermal insulation.
Exactly. It's like a wrapper all the way around.
Yeah.
Getting this mammoth structure airtight, a must for his Passivhaus Premium certification, will be a minefield. So, surely Duncan, without any experience, has picked a specialist architect.
Hello. You've got yourself an outdoor office.
No, he's appointed Lawrence Becker. He met her on a Passivhaus course.
I'm not ashamed to say I've never been great at maths. I failed the Passivhaus designer test, but there are 2 ways to get your... No. There are 2 ways to get Passivhaus certification as an architect. Build a Passivhaus or pass a test. The test is notoriously hard.
But building one will be no walk in the park either. It requires rigorous external assessment.
This is the Passivhaus planning package. Within this book, there are at least 30 spreadsheets.
Oh, wowzer. You've got performance data for every pane of glass, every pane
of glass, basically, yeah.
So if he changes the windows,
every change has to be
go
inputted
into
into
this.
this.
And you have to do that. I mean, if it drops below a certain standard, you just know you're not going to get certified.
We're not going to get it, no.
Your role is integral to the success of the building getting its accreditation. Yes?
Yes, it scares me sometimes. I wake up at night and think, oh, have I done this? Have I done that? But that's what makes it interesting.
Blimey. And the colossal size adds to the challenge. Even pouring the concrete walls on Duncan's first slab 3 weeks later is problematic. They're so tall, he's had to leave the insulated formwork at half height at 1.5 metres tall to make sure the concrete gets to the bottom.
As soon as the guys have filled it up to half a metre, we're putting these polystyrene blocks that we've got lined up. We're building up more wall behind them. And the idea is that we stay ahead of them and we don't get lapped. If we really can't stay ahead of them, we're going to waste the concrete.
And so this risky game of cat and mouse begins. It immediately becomes hectic. Most blocks fit, but some don't.
We're slipping behind. They're half a wall ahead of us at the moment.
There's a greater worry. The higher the concrete, the bigger the pressure. Suddenly...
Oh shit. Okay.
Everything has to stop while they fix the rupture.
So the risks, if we continue, we're putting more weight into the wall will burst somewhere.
Splitting the concrete pour over several days could compromise the strength of this retaining wall.
You can see there's a slight bulge.
So once it's propped, Duncan is itching to finish the job.
Do we feel brave or do we not?
So at 4 p.m, he decides to go for it. It seems nuts.
Oh, hell yeah. This is definitely a risk. So what we're banking on is that the first concrete that's gone in is now starting to cure.
It's up to Sam, the ground worker, to cautiously pour the last 9 tons. But would he have made the same call?
Probably not, because it's not worth a risk, but I'm not a risk taker that much. It's not my decision.
30 anxious minutes pass, and it's still standing.
All the concrete has gone in pretty much. We're just putting the last bits of rebar in. I think we got away with it.
What a lucky escape. Duncan now feels reassured to pour more concrete, while he also finishes plans with Lawrence.
I did have to move one of the beams so that the saw pipe could go down and across.
Yeah, I saw that.
Within 6 months, the basement and ground floor slabs are in. And then nothing happens for weeks, except some dry stone walling by the assistant site manager, Jasmine.
I'm a little frustrated that we're about 2 months behind schedule, I think. And that's a mix of reasons. We've got a very complicated build, and we appointed 2 contractors, and managing the interfaces between them has just taken a long time.
They're still stuck in the design phase, with their drawings bouncing from site to David, who's local and supplying the steel frame, and Gary in Shrewsbury, whose firm is responsible for all the timber structure.
It's been a bit of a journey, I have to say. It is quite complex in the shape, the geometry of it. I would say the most challenging passive house scheme we've been involved with personally, yes.
We'd normally expect to design this in about a month. It's taken us about 3 months, I suppose. I think it's mainly because of all the changes we've had to make, and also coordinating with the other people working on it.
But David has now done the hard part, so within days, 10 tons of steel at £29,000 is finally being craned into the basement floor. Liz is paying her once-a-week client visit.
I don't want to get hit by steel, I'm retreating.
While Liz heads to the sidelines, Duncan takes a front seat.
This is really exciting to see. We've waited a while for this, so it's great to see it all happening now.
Duncan and Liz are experiencing the project very differently.
I've been really quite divorced from what's been going on site, and Duncan sends me photos and we talk about it. We talk about virtually nothing else, in fact. But even so, not being here, not living it with him makes a big difference. And it is a strain on a relationship.
But Duncan's focus is elsewhere. Now the steel is taking shape, he needs to get the drawing signed off for the huge wooden superstructure that comes next.
We've got 1 or 2 important issues that we're just trying to clarify. And then from the moment we sign off, it's 8 weeks.
But in the following days, as concrete beams for the ground floor are hoisted onto the finished steel frame, the drawings are still not finalised. Working late at his firm one evening, Duncan is gloomy.
Just a quick update for you. I had a pithy conversation yesterday with the timber frame company. He'd promised the drawings early part of this week, and they haven't turned up again. And he said that's our fault, apparently, because it took us so long to sort the steel out.
We haven't changed anything since we sent them.
No, so that's just disappointing, but there's not a lot I can do other than have conversations with him.
Throughout this project, Duncan and Liz have battled with the restrictions of the COVID pandemic, leaving Liz increasingly isolated in London.
Gosh, you're in the office.
Yes, that's right. I'm fixing IT.
Video calls are just not the same as him coming home in the evening and actually being able to have a real shared life together. We just don't at the moment. I do get lonely and I miss Duncan. It's just me and the cats now.
Liz does go to her office, but it's nearly empty.
I'm not exaggerating, I've been quite depressed by it. Just literally getting up, going to work, coming home, going to bed, getting up, going to work. I've found it very challenging.
For Liz, the move to her new home can't come soon enough. But a glorious summer passes with no sign of the timber frame. It takes till autumn, a year in, for the £240,000 structure to arrive, and Duncan is giddy.
I'm excited. I'm genuinely excited. The original date we were given for this arriving is 19 weeks ago. Now at least it's here and we're moving forward, so I'm just really happy it's here.
So is Gary, who's responsible for this timber structure. He is, however, convinced he's on schedule.
I'm not really sure we are late, if I'm honest. We don't make anything until it's physically approved. In other words, Duncan signed it off, so we're about 10 weeks from approval to starting on site.
Well, I hope these two are on the same page in the design phase, because the timber has to fit Duncan's slabs precisely.
That means the pressure is on me. If it's in the wrong place, you know, that's my mistake.
Normally, the base and panels marry easily, but not here.
We're finding we're about sort of 40 to 50 mil out of where we thought we were going to be.
Apprehensive.
A 3-metre drop between floors and 600 square metres of panels make it hard to align it all.
I think it will be 50 mil too short.
Precision has to be key.
Yeah, spike that side. Basically, we don't want gaps. Gaps are not good. Gaps are bad.
It's worrying that Duncan won't know if it's fully gap-free until the final airtightness test, but at least he has the satisfaction of seeing his house take shape.
Just taken a photograph and sent it to Liz. I've been trying to keep her updated.
It's a good thing too, because by week 5 the changes are breathtaking, as in come the 8 giant portal frames.
It just looks amazing. I mean, we're finally seeing a 3D building. Each of these frames is asymmetrical. They're all slightly different. And that's purely just a visual thing, just for interest, just for fun.
I love it. I am concerned it's not big enough.
Duncan doesn't, however, get to rest on his laurels. His dream to be the UK's first Passivhaus Premium home rests on his solar roof, generating 4 times the energy it needs. But the innovative solar fabric he's found might fall short by his current calculations.
See here, the roof is a zigzag. So it's got 6 faces, and each one shades the one next to it. Right now, we either fail by about 2% or we pass by 2%. It really is on that knife edge. It is the key to whether we achieve Passivhaus Premium or not. I will be absolutely devastated if we don't get this. It is such a key part to the whole building.
The problem here is that Duncan's asking a lot from this solar roof. He wants it to be super efficient, affordable, and beautiful. So he's discounted traditional panels, and instead he's looking to newer, invisible tech like solar tiles or fabric. But it's a rapidly evolving field. This £17.5 million home in London is Eglon House, inspired by the iconic Maison de Verre in Paris. It has wonderfully hidden eco-credentials.
So these solar panels are sort of from another world, really. They're generating electricity, but you can actually see the sky through them.
It seems to be of the future. It's only 5 years old, but it's already been surpassed by more advanced models. And this is the dilemma Duncan's facing.
But he's prepared to invest in the future, pay the money for a system which, after all, may be out of date in 5 years. He's also prepared to accept a system which may not be quite as beautiful as this. But the one thing he dreads, if he doesn't get Passivhaus Premium, if he doesn't get enough solar on his roof, then he has unutterably failed.
Tallinn, Estonia. Having failed to find a UK solar roof material that was beautiful, affordable and potent enough for his mini power station house, Duncan has flown here.
The roof has proved more problematic than I thought. We did have a UK supplier and we've had some issues with them, and hence coming to Estonia to look at an alternative.
Instead of the invisible solar fabric he'd wanted, the alternative is more obvious. Glass and metal roof tiles. They're about 60% cheaper. A great saving if they work.
So this is your overall design of your roof surfaces and planes. You see we have all the trees that has to be there.
Jan is calculating how much energy the roof will generate, but accuracy is key.
That's actually not a chimney. It's a soil vent pipe.
All right.
And those two don't exist.
Any shading trees need to be to scale too, as they'll affect electricity generation.
So how high have you put those trees?
I think high enough.
Because the trees on the east side are mature ash trees. They're about 40 meters high.
The height of them is not 40 meters.
Clearly, working long distance will be challenging, but Duncan wants to go ahead.
I'm taking on a lot more risk in doing this, but there's a cost saving for me, which hopefully makes it worthwhile.
Indeed, Duncan's already spent £800,000 of his £1.2 million budget, and he's still building the basic structure. For the next few months, Duncan and his assistant site manager, Jasmine, prep the enormous 660 square metre roof to receive its solar skin.
We good?
Yeah, that's good for me. And by the time we finish, we'll have put 1,600 pieces of insulation in, 500 pieces of wooden board, and 4 kilometres of roof batten, which is this stuff on the roof.
Surely he could subcontract this tedious bit of work.
We're doing this because, well, because we can. It's fun. Beats working.
Just keeps us busy.
He's even designed the upstand for this. The enormous £9,500 skylight for the stairwell.
This is the widest bit of glass, weighs very nearly a ton. The upstander has to support it, and it's the first one I've ever built.
Yeah, just that end slightly before this, yeah.
And I'm just worried that this frame starts buckling, which would break the glass, or the whole lot just starts moving south. Neither's a good result for me.
If it fails, the cost of this crane, these men, this glass, is around £20,000.
Yeah, the next 5 minutes are going to be literally make or break.
Just trying to check that before we drop it on the width. You happy it's that way? Okay, yeah.
Painfully and slowly, the glass is eased in.
Okay, should we lower it down?
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm down.
Down.
And she's in.
So far, so good.
Yeah. But they're still holding it on the crane at the moment, so we're not quite at the last moment of truth.
Look at that.
Definitely happy.
Duncan is 18 months in, and he should be finished by now, but he's only halfway. However, there's more here than meets the eye.
This house is deceptive and cunning. From the lane, all you see is what looks like a tractor shed, yeah? But actually, underneath the folding roofs of this building, it grows towards the south. Look at it, this giant space. Architecturally, it's extremely exciting, but it is huge. Broaching a sensitive subject, you said you'd be finished by now.
We are a little bit behind schedule. The timber frame arrived late, and then the building's a very complicated shape.
The roofs are doing that, and they're doing that, and they're doing this and that.
Exactly. So there's an awful lot to align and try and get right.
And tell me about the money, then.
I think we are under budget at the moment, aren't we?
We are under budget, yeah.
How so?
The big saving so far has been the Estonian roofing system. And in really simple terms, almost the longer we spend building this, the less expensive it gets, because the more Jasmine and I do, and, you know, my time is free.
Just as well, really. The next step of sealing the house airtight is onerous and will take months. But Duncan thinks a new product will help.
Now, ordinarily, you'd be taping all of these joints.
Yeah, every single joint in the external walls of the building, we'd have to meticulously tape. Where we've brushed is where we've got quite a deep groove, and we want to get something a bit gloopier and a bit thicker than we're going to spray. And then the expanse in between, we just spray over. It allows idiots like me to do it.
Or me.
This spray-on airtight layer prevents leaks, allowing the insulation to really do its job and minimise the heating down to Passivhaus required levels. Duncan has 900 square metres of spraying ahead of him.
You're going to get really sick of this colour.
That's for sure.
What follows is some slower painting and more glazing. At last, 26 months in, it's watertight, and Liz is able to get involved with the interiors. But it's a heck of a pad to kit out.
I've never ever had to deal with a space this big and tall, and it's quite daunting.
They've consulted an interior designer because they can't seem to agree on very much.
I mean, I'm slightly reluctant to go with the very light one because I'm worried it's going to make it feel very cold.
Like you, I think the slightly darker colour works better.
Now I don't know that though, because now I'm thinking it just looks a bit like somebody's peed on it.
The client is not as decisive as she could be.
I don't know.
It's even harder choosing between their two kitchen layouts.
So let me have a look.
The two options for the kitchen, one has one island, one has two islands. I'd like to see two. I think Liz would like to see one. With the two island option, you can put your sink and your hob out here, and then you have your guests sitting here. To be fair, she really struggles to visualise how things will be.
The island isn't going to be where you've got your fat feet because you've got your wall, and then you've got to have a gap between the island and...
Liz, as it's drawn, the single island option is here.
But I know what will happen, whichever one I prefer, we will end up building the one Duncan wants. We just will. It's just easier that way now.
All talk of kitchens is put aside, though, in the run-up to Christmas. Finally, after spending a whole year designing his roof,
just a bit slippery up here today.
Duncan gets his Estonian solar panels. Including the fitters, it's costing a hefty £118,000.
The roof is the one thing that turns this from a normal passive house into Passivhaus Premium. So the roof is the really big innovative item on the build.
It's so cutting edge, it's the company's first UK job.
Got it.
Gert, who's in charge, is impressed with the scale.
There will be 300 panels on this roof. Plus we have 1 kilometer of cabling. I would say that this is the biggest roof that we have done.
And yet, the Estonian team want to finish in just 11 days and be home for Christmas. It means working into the winter nights.
And I say lights, like daytime or nighttime. Actually 2 rows more, and then actually we can measure the power. With those lights, I would be able to get some kind of voltage out of it. We'll show you that we have still power and everything is correctly connected.
This is a really exciting moment. I want to go up and just see it.
Let's see if it's showing us something.
Yay!
God damn it, I was right.
Woo! Super happy. It's all working. That's the first power off the roof. It's a big thing.
Can I finally charge my phone then?
Of course, it's what happens during daylight hours that's going to be vital. The installers take an extra week to finish. It's just so big. From then on, the onus is connecting it inside and to the grid. By spring, nearly 3 years in, it's up and running.
I didn't think it would look this good.
This just looks like a roof. They're invisible. And are they generating well?
On a day like today, we're generating about 230 kilowatt hours. To give you an idea, a typical medium house uses about 8 kilowatt hours a day.
So that's a lot. You are the living embodiment of what excites me about self-build, which is that you are using innovative technology and making it work. Duncan still needs to prove he can make 4 times the energy they use to get his Passivhaus Premium prize. But this house is still so embryonic. I'm sorry to say this, but upstairs hasn't moved on a huge amount in 15 months.
Shush. Come downstairs. It is a bit different downstairs. Follow me.
Yeah, yeah. It's just, you know, psychologically good for me. See some progress. Oh, big circular room. This is good. Very nice to see it now. I just want to see it done. The 4 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms are just shells with no walls or floors. First fix is barely underway. You did say you weren't going to move until it was done.
That was a while ago. I think I'm willing to compromise now just because I'm so keen to get in now.
Liz seems to have given up on Duncan completing this passion project anytime soon.
You are slightly addicted to it.
I think even more than that, I enjoy the design process. And I have a real weakness where I tend to over-design and keep redesigning and reiterating. And I have to break myself out of that sometimes and realise I do need to finish things.
So where are you with certification?
We need an airtightness test.
Yeah.
We need to submit our very complicated computer model.
And
the third thing is about energy generation. We're nearer the end than the beginning.
That's such a fine philosophical way of looking at it. Man, there is so much to do on this project. There are so many kind of questions hanging over it.
And the biggest is, will they get Passivhaus Premium status and set a new benchmark for UK housing? Well, I hope so. But Duncan might take so long he won't be the first, and then he'll be devastated. So come on, Duncan, crack on. Just over 3 years ago in the genteel North Cotswolds, Duncan and Liz began their high-voltage mission to build an electricity-generating Passivhaus Premium home, potentially a UK first.
Wow, this is beautiful. I can see why Duncan and Liz were seduced by this countryside, its rolling hills, just as I can understand why Duncan was seduced by the high environmental ambition of this project. And I also understand just how addictive building can be. You don't want to stop. And as Liz says, Duncan is not a finisher. So the question remains then, doesn't it, just whether he can, will, or indeed has finished any of it.
I approached then with trepidation. But it's been 5 months since I was last here, so anything is possible.
Wow. Big curved, beautifully made walls. That's pretty. Glinting in the sun. Looks like a building. Albeit half-clad.
This then seems a tale of 2 halves. Half of it elegantly detailed, a slick, sleek roof, and an ebony timber skin. Half of it, however, undone.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Hello, Liz. Hey, Duncan, how are you both? Good to see you.
Very good.
Yeah.
Nice to
Great
see
to
you
see
again.
you. Yeah. Yeah. How have you been?
Very good, very busy.
Well, it's black and blue.
Slowly becoming blacker.
Yeah. And what I particularly like driving in is seeing 2 sheds. It sort of completes the illusion almost, you know?
It's definitely getting there.
Yeah, yeah. And they don't look too big either when you
Not
drive
from
in.
this angle.
No.
Do you try nailing the cladding on them? They look big then.
I bet you wish you built a slightly smaller house.
Absolutely.
Then it would be finished.
Possibly.
Possibly.
Yeah. Hey, can I charge my car here, by the way?
Yes, you can.
Can I steal electricity from
Yeah,
you?
it's all up and running. It's all good to go.
That is great.
Wonderful. Clean electricity from the magnificent solar roof, charging my car for free. But given the boggy, undressed exterior, I'm bracing myself for what's to come.
Come on in.
We're going in the front door.
We are
going.
indeed.
Posh. Oh, this is lovely. This is sharp and different.
We have been working hard, Kevin.
Still a little purple.
Well, we can't quite let it go. You know what it is.
But actually, you've built. These are all new, these stone walls.
Yeah, I mean, we're really pleased with the way the stones turned out.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's taken a timber frame building and made something monumental of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. There are glass balustrades yet to go in, but it's already looking promising. So what about the big entertaining space next door? Holy moly! Well, this space is a triumph. Oh, the purple's gone and the sunlight pours in and it's pretty stonking.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
Though the ceilings are high, the space seems to have shrunk to a domestic scale. What will be the living room and kitchen is almost cosy.
Are you living here now?
Not yet, no.
But, I mean, you furnished it.
Yeah, we're just trying to get an idea of what it's going to be like.
Well, good for you. It suddenly looks domestic. It doesn't feel like somebody's large garage.
Yes.
Do you know there's something that is so apparent now, and that is how that wall of glass is cranked so much it's swung out as though it's already opening out into the garden. It's really, it's a great thing.
What's also joyful is the continuation of the epic glulam purlins through the wall to support the huge outside overhang that fans out into the world beyond. It also shades the triple glazed wall beneath in summer, while allowing the lower winter sun to heat the house. Clever design. And here, design drives the quality, upstairs and down.
Oh. This has turned out to be a beautifully sculpted piece of shell. It was looking quite clunky.
Yeah, it was. It was definitely ugly duckling. And we're slowly transforming it into a swan.
OK, so the house isn't finished, but actually that's not the important thing right now. Because today, Duncan's watershed airtightness test is happening. And that's worrying, because he's just made a massive hole in the wall.
This is a pet-friendly, Passivhaus compliant cat flap. So, cat comes along and comes up to the cat flap. And it's got seals and everything, so it's completely airtight. Then it shuts and the building is sealed again. Oh, and it's got a special safety device so it doesn't chop the cat in half.
At around $1,500, it had better work because Kim Mead, Duncan's Passivhaus assessor, is here. He has approved the architect Lawrence's dreaded Passivhaus planning package, and he's satisfied that 4 times the electricity needed here will be produced. But one thing remains to elevate this house to passive prime status.
Hello, Kim.
Hi.
How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Yeah. Hey, you can tell it's serious because there are loads of tech boffins in attendance.
So, this is the last piece of the jigsaw?
This is the last piece of the jigsaw, yeah.
You confident?
Hopeful.
Yeah.
I am.
Hopeful. Scary requirement.
Unleash the fan.
We're off. The fan blows air into the building to pressurize all 1,600 cubic meters of it, allowing the air leakage to be measured. Modern houses score around 5 air changes per hour. Duncan has to score 0.6 or less. Yikes.
So, Jack, what is it?
So the average is 0.415, which is a good result.
Yeah.
You passed.
yeah.
Are you happy with that?
Yeah, very happy.
Well, congratulations, because I think I think it's an epic building, and it's an epic result actually, and to be, and as you will be now, the first in the UK.
Done there.
No.
Thanks.
Look, I have got ahead of myself. Duncan has still got a last air tightness test to go and some final paperwork on completion, but it's nearly a dead cert. So, at what cost has this all come? How much will you have spent by the time you get to move in?
We will have spent 1.25 million.
OK. And the great advantage of a house like this is the running costs.
It has negative running costs. It pays us to live in it.
But the grid caps the amount of energy you can sell back to it.
That's right. So over the year, we should be able to power around 4 3-bedroom houses. Because of the cap, we're actually able to support
About 2.5.
And that surplus?
Dissipating.
Just not doing anything.
It's a battle, Kevin.
It needs a house like this to put pressure on the government to say we need a grid that is designed to accept houses that generate electricity.
So great that you're meeting your performance targets. How are you coping with the emotional stress of all this?
It's been 3 years since we've had a shared life. 3 years since we've just sat down and had dinner and watched the television together.
There's definitely been a price to pay.
In your mind, when's it going to be done?
Define done.
Done. When snagging turns into maintenance.
OK, 18 months.
Are you happy with that?
I will be happy with that if that is what happens.
One day soon, this will be a glorious place to live and a certified UK first.
So if you think that this house is just too far ahead of its time, then let me tell you, it's not. Because the grid is already working very hard to find ways of buying electricity back in large quantity from people like Liz and Duncan, from householders. And for another important reason too, because the self-builders of this world are the real experimentalists, not the house builders, not developers, not housing associations. It is the self-builders who take their own money, hard-earned, they take their own sweat and enthusiasm and energy and procure some of the most innovative ideas, some of the most experimental technologies you can find in building on the planet. It's people like Liz and Duncan. They are right out there at the margins of society, showing us what the houses of the future will be. I mean, in 20 or 30 years' time, we could all be living in houses that are power stations, just like this. So for that, I salute them.
Back in 2018, Lee and Richard began converting a ruined watermill into a home.
Have you done this before?
No, we're complete novices. We just fell in love with it. It was instant.
But by 2021, hampered by the pandemic, the work was unfinished.
I'm absolutely knackered.
There isn't any money left.
2 years later, I'm back.
That's what this building needed.